Since Red Bull joined Formula One in 2004, they have progressed rapidly. After a first podium in 2006, the team hit their stride in 2009, claiming 6 victories and second in the constructors' standings. Fast forward to 2022, and they are now the reigning constructors and drivers' champions, ending nearly a decade of Mercedes dominance. Along with this success has come some fabulous drivers. From Vettel to Verstappen, not many teams have had a better selection of World Championship winning talent. But how has their second seat fared? Well, from Kyvat and Albon to Weber and Ricciardo, it has been a nearly 20-year story of underperformance and friction. Many date Red Bull's cursed second seat back to Mark Webber and his tumultuous relationship with Sebastian Vettel. Before Vettel had even taken his Red Bull seat, there was controversy between the pair. Webber, winless after 101 starts in Formula One, was running second right on the tail of Lewis Hamilton at the sudden 2007 Japanese Grand Prix. With Hamilton in the heat of a title battle and not likely to risk contact if the Aussie was to force a move, Webber had a sniff of a first Grand Prix victory. That was until he was taken out by the Toro Rosso of Vettel under safety car conditions. When he arrived back to the pits, Webber dropped the famous line, "It's kids, isn't it? Kids with not enough experience. You do a good job, and then they f*** it all up." Funnily enough, the kid Webber moaned about soon became his teammate as Vettel joined Red Bull. Would the two be able to put their tension behind them? Well, by the 2010 Turkish Grand Prix, tension between the two hit boiling point. Both were in championship contention, although Webber, fresh off 2 straight wins in Spain and Monaco, was in the ascendancy. The Australian led the majority of the race, but was told to go into fuel-saving mode on lap 40. Vettel still had 1 lap at full power and decided to go for it. At well over 300 kilometers an hour down the circuit's fast-backed straight, Webber edged Vettel across to the edge of the circuit, but the German didn't relent. It doesn't take a motorsports expert to guess what happened next. After a major crash that cost Webber the win, their relationship was strained beyond repair. Commentator Martin Brundle labeled the incident 100% Vettel's fault, while the irate German's radio was famously replayed with him screaming, "What the f*** are we doing here? What a stupid action! I'm going home. You." Red Bull's team principal Christian Horner controversially defended his golden boy, claiming he should have been given more room. From then on, the relationship between Vettel and Webber was frosty to say the least. To make things worse for Red Bull's second driver, he saw Vettel go on to win 4 world championships, including this 2010 season before Webber eventually left Red Bull. Webber's replacement when he finally decided to leave Red Bull was soon-to-be fan favorite and fellow Australian Daniil Ricciardo. Surely his and Vettel's relationship could be a bit more amicable than the previous Australian to claim Red Bull's second seat? Initially, it seemed Red Bull had struck gold with Daniil Ricciardo. The talented Aussie beat Vettel by over 70 points in the 2014 season, in an uncharacteristic and underwhelming season from the 4-time world champion. More importantly for Christian Horner's stress levels, the pair seemed to get on quite well. But that was until Vettel decided to leave for Ferrari at the end of the season, leaving Red Bull to again seek a new second driver. The man they chose was Daniil Kvyat. The less said about his time at Red Bull, the better, but we'll go over it anyway. To be fair to Red Bull and Horner, Kvyat looked a talented driver. Kvyat made his F1 debut aged just 19 in the 2014 Australian Grand Prix, where he made it into the top 10 in qualifying and finished 9th in the race, breaking Sebastian Vettel's record as the youngest point scorer in Formula One. Kvyat even ended the 2015 season with 95 points and 7th place in Drivers' World Championship, beating his race-winning teammate Daniil Ricciardo by 3 points. However, this was still underwhelming by Red Bull's lofty standards, and 2016 didn't get any easier for the Russian. After an incident during the start of his home Grand Prix when Kvyat collided with Sebastian Vettel's car, team management decided to demote Kvyat back to Toro Rosso and save him from any further pain. Red Bull's team principal Christian Horner stated, "Danny will be able to continue his development at Toro Rosso, in a team that he is familiar with, giving him the chance to regain his form and show his potential." Well, that never occurred, as Kvyat languished in Toro Rosso in a very on and off Formula One career. But who took Kvyat's seat at Red Bull? That was none other than Max Verstappen. Anyone who follows Formula One with any regularity would have seen the familiar sight of Verstappen and Red Bull at the top of the podium in recent years. What we've also seen is an aggressive driving style and suited to being a second driver. So how did Verstappen behave as Ricciardo's number 2? Was it a repeat of the Australian and European clash we saw between Weber and Vettel? At the age of 18, he won the 2016 Spanish Grand Prix on his debut for Red Bull Racing, becoming the youngest ever driver and the first Dutch driver to win a Formula One Grand Prix. That was a marker that, despite being so young, he would not accept playing second fiddle to the Australian. Ricciardo and Verstappen were almost inseparable in their first 2 seasons together. Ricciardo edged him on poles, points, and podiums, but not by much. It wasn't a great look for the Australian in his prime to be struggling to beat a teenager. Christian Horner has always had somewhat of a soft spot for the Dutchman, and the early promise he showed. Most memorably at the 2007 Japanese Grand Prix, Verstappen capped a remarkable charge from 16th on the grid to the final place on the podium, just edging out Ricciardo by 0.8 of a second after the Australian tried a last-lap lunge. As time went on, it always seemed Ricciardo would be playing second fiddle to Verstappen as his momentum built. Thankfully for Red Bull's management team, their driver pair remained friendly towards each other. Apart from a bit of contact in Hungary in 2017, for which Verstappen apologized, their only big coming together came during the Azerbaijan Grand Prix in 2018, on the start-finish straight on lap 41, as both cars dramatically crashed out. However, at the end of the year, Ricciardo left Red Bull for Renault and refused to play second fiddle to Verstappen. It seemed Red Bull couldn't lock down a long-term second driver that got along with his teammate and delivered on track. Ricciardo's replacement, Pierre Gasly, did little to suggest this trend wouldn't continue. He failed to make Q3 in his first 2 races at Australia and Bahrain. He scored points at the following 6 races, but finished a lap behind the leaders at the Canadian, French, and Australian Grand Prix, the latter of which was won by Verstappen. Gasly came under increasing pressure at the Hungarian Grand Prix, where he finished 6th, having been lapped by Verstappen. At this stage of the season, Gasly was 6th in the Drivers' Championship with 63 points. Verstappen, meanwhile, had recorded 181 points, 2 race wins, 5 podium finishes, and 1 pole position. Ahead of the Belgian Grand Prix, Gasly was demoted back to junior team Toro Rosso, with Alex Albon taking his place at Red Bull. Horner stated that we desperately need Gasly realizing more of the potential of the car. The curse on Red Bull's second seat seemed to be getting stronger. Could the Frenchman's mid-season replacement fare any better? The bar hadn't been set particularly high by Gasly, but Red Bull were taking yet another gamble on a driver and proven in a top car. Albon drove the second half of the season for Red Bull in uninspiring yet consistent fashion, scoring a number of 5th and 6th place finishes. The highlight of his 2019 season was when he sat in second place on the penultimate lap of the Brazilian Grand Prix, before being hit by Lewis Hamilton during an overtaking attempt, dropping Albon to 14th place at the finish. Albon ended his debut season 8th in the World Drivers' Championship with 92 points and received the Rookie of the Year award at the FIA prize-giving ceremony. Had Red Bull finally found the right man to take their second seat? Albon's 2020 season suggested otherwise. Red Bull commented that they were unsure why Albon lacked pace in the race halfway through the season after an underwhelming start, and things didn't pick up. After claiming his maiden podium at the Tuscan Grand Prix, he claimed only a single point over the next 4 races. In shades of Pierre Gasly, he was even lapped by Verstappen and finished 12th at the Portuguese Grand Prix, and was duly replaced by Sergio Perez. Could the veteran Sergio Perez finally put talk of a Red Bull curse to bed? In 2021, he played the ultimate second fiddle to Max Verstappen as he clashed with Lewis Hamilton for the title. At the season finale in Abu Dhabi, Perez's defensive work against Hamilton helped his teammate Max Verstappen close a 7-second gap to Hamilton and eventually claim the World Drivers' Championship. Perez retired Verstappen seemed to be more than happy with his teammate, stating, "It's very rare to have a teammate like that. He was a real team player, and I really hope we can continue this for a long time." Perez finished the season with 190 points and finished 4th overall, equaling his best championship result set in 2020, but didn't do enough to secure his team the Constructors' title. After trying several different partners for Verstappen, it finally seemed Red Bull had formed a partnership and a car to claim that elusive constructors title. That title would come this season in 2022, as Sergio Perez narrowly missed out on second place in the driver's standings to Charles Leclerc, but did more than enough to help Red Bull take both titles away from Mercedes. From the underwhelming performances of Kvyat and Gasly to the tense relationship between Vettel and Weber, it seems Red Bull finally have their man. But is it fair to say Red Bull's second seat has been cursed up until now? Not really. Red Bull have been more than willing to take risks with their second driver to find their next Vettel or Verstappen. In most cases, it hasn't paid off, and an experience has shown through. But with the acquisition of Checo Perez, Red Bull have shown that when they go for a ready-made second driver, they know how to find one.